All right, so you guys have been asking us to take a deep dive into the Wispy Parental Control app.
Yeah, it's been a popular request.
And whether you're a parent yourself or just, I don't know, interested in like the tech side of things,
Hmm.
we're going to unpack what the Wispy promises, how it works, and what you really need to know.
Yeah, this whole category of parental control apps is so fascinating
It is.
because it really kind of highlights like the anxieties we have as parents in this
Yeah.
digital age, right?
Hmm.
We want to protect our kids, but also respect their privacy.
Right.
It's like this weird tension.
Exactly. And these apps, like the Wispy, they just tap right into that tension.
Oh, yeah.
They use some pretty loaded language in their marketing, too.
For sure.
Like they literally call themselves the hashtag One Parental Control and Cell Phone Monitoring app.
Hmm.
And they say they can track your kids anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, and when you dig into the details, it gets even more like intense.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like some of the phrases they use: leave no room for suspicion,
Right.
dodge cyber threats.
It's like classic fear-based marketing. It's playing on our deepest fears as parents and kind of pushing us to make these quick decisions,
Yeah,
not based on logic, but on emotion.
totally. So let's get past the marketing hype
Okay.
and talk about what this app can actually do.
Yeah, so feature-wise, it's pretty extensive.
Okay.
We're talking call tracking, reading text messages, GPS location tracking. They can even access photos and videos.
Really?
Yeah, and it goes even further than that.
Okay.
You can monitor social media activity, record calls, and even activate the phone's microphone.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like to listen to the surroundings?
So listen to the surroundings, yeah.
That seems a little, I don't know, over the line.
Yeah, it is a little unsettling.
Yeah.
And technically how they do that is they gain access to the phone's microphone through the operating system,
Okay.
and then they can remotely activate it
Oh, wow.
and transmit that audio to the parent's device, much like a voice call would work.
So that brings up some questions about privacy and consent.
Huge questions about that.
Because if the person being monitored has no idea this is happening,
Right.
is there even consent?
Yeah.
And also, what about misuse, right? This isn't just about parents.
Right.
What about somebody wanting to spy on their partner or harass somebody?
That's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting, too, that the TheWiSpy is not available on the Google Play Store or App Store.
Oh, really?
You have to download it and install it manually,
Oh, wow.
which also raises some red flags for me security-wise.
Yeah, so speaking of user-friendliness, how much does all this cost?
So they have 3 subscription tiers:
Mm.
Basic, Premium, and Platinum.
Okay.
And each one unlocks more features as you go up.
Uh-huh.
But you need separate licenses for multiple devices.
I see if you have multiple kids.
It can get expensive, yeah.
Yeah, that adds up.
And they're currently offering a 40% discount on all subscriptions.
Oh, wow. A limited time offer.
A classic limited time offer. Got to get you act fast.
Right.
But those limited time offers, they always kind of make you feel that pressure,
Totally.
that fear of missing out.
Exactly.
So you act without maybe fully thinking it through.
So before you jump on that deal, you might want to hear what other users have to say.
Yeah, because the reviews are all over the place.
They are.
Yeah, they are.
So the reviews are all over the place, huh?
Yeah, they really are. I mean, some parents seem to absolutely love it.
Okay.
They say it's really easy to use and gives them like peace of mind,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that they can keep tabs on their kids' online activity.
Right. They want to know what their kids are up to.
Exactly. And they feel like it's helping them protect their kids from online dangers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then you have the other side of the coin.
Oh, no. What's the other side?
Yeah, some users report all sorts of technical problems like license keys that don't work
The worst.
and like no customer support at all.
So you're just stuck.
Pretty much.
That's frustrating.
And then there are these concerns about how the app affects the phone's performance.
Oh, really?
Like battery drain, the phone lagging, even like data overages.
Oh, wow.
Because the TheWiSpy is constantly uploading information.
Wow. So it's like a resource hog.
It can be, yeah.
Huh. And I guess we haven't even talked about the ethical implications.
Right.
Imagine being a teenager and finding out your parents are like cracking your every move online.
Oh, talk about a breach of trust.
Right.
I mean, even if you're not doing anything wrong,
Yeah,
just knowing you're being watched constantly
Yeah.
feels super invasive.
totally. And controlling.
It makes you wonder if this kind of monitoring actually helps kids be safer in the long run.
Yeah, does it really?
Or does it just make them more secretive?
And distrustful.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a tough one.
It is. And I think every parent has to figure that out for themselves.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember there's a difference between monitoring and mentoring.
Oh, that's a good distinction.
Right. Instead of just relying on surveillance,
Mm-hmm.
what if we focus more on having open and honest conversations with our kids about online safety and like teaching them critical thinking skills, like media literacy, how to actually navigate the digital world responsibly.
I like that. Mentoring instead of monitoring.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, don't we want to raise kids who can make good choices on their own?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not kids who are just constantly looking over their shoulder.
Right. Always wondering if they're being watched.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about empowering them to be responsible digital citizens.
Yes.
Not just controlling their every click.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit and talk big picture for a second.
Okay.
Because TheWiSpy isn't just for parents. They also target employers who want to monitor their employees.
Right, which opens up a whole other can of worms.
It does. Where do we draw the line between security concerns and just like straight up surveillance?
Exactly. Is it really okay for employers to track their employees' every keystroke?
Every email.
Every website they visit?
It feels a little dystopian, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, what happened to just trusting your employees to do their jobs?
Right, and how does that affect morale?
Yeah, and productivity.
If you're constantly feeling watched.
It's got to create a pretty toxic work environment.
Totally. And then you have all these questions about employee rights, too. Like, where's the line between work life and personal life?
Right.
When does monitoring become a real invasion of privacy?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. A lot of the sources we looked at actually compared these parental control apps to spyware.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, like the same technology that's being used to protect kids could also be used for some pretty bad stuff.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
It is.
And it shows you how technology can have two sides.
It can, yeah.
A good side and a bad side.
Uh-huh.
It's a powerful tool that can be used for both.
Right.
And I think as this technology gets even more advanced and easier to get, we really need some solid regulations.
Yeah.
And ethical guidelines to stop people from abusing it.
Absolutely, because it feels like the Wild West out there.
It does.
Like, the technology is moving so fast, but our laws and, like, our ethical thinking just can't keep up.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to talk about all this.
It is.
We can't just accept these new technologies without thinking about how they might affect our lives and society as a whole.
So let's bring it back to TheWiSpy.
Okay.
We've talked about the features, the pros and cons, the ethics. But what about the practical side?
Right.
Like, if you're a parent thinking about using this app, what are the key takeaways?
Well, first of all, do your research.
Okay.
Don't just believe what the marketing tells you. Read independent reviews, talk to other parents who've used it.
Yeah.
Get a sense of what it's really like.
Good advice.
And remember, TheWiSpy only works on Android.
Oh, right.
If your kid has an iPhone, you'll need a different solution.
Okay. Good point.
And speaking of alternatives, maybe a monitoring app isn't even the best approach for your family.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe open communication and digital mentoring would be better. Or there might be other parental control options that feel less intense, but still address your concerns.
It's all about finding the right balance for your family.
Exactly.
And that might involve some hard conversations with your kids about online safety. Setting clear boundaries.
And building a relationship based on trust.
I like that.
Right.
Trust.
It's about empowering them to navigate the digital world responsibly.
Yeah, not just watching their every move.
Exactly.
You know, it's funny. As we were researching this, I kept thinking about that statistic from TheWiSpy's website.
What statistic?
They said they detected over 150,000 cyber threats.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
It shows you that there are real dangers online.
There definitely are.
But it also makes you think, like, is surveillance really the answer?
Right. Is that the only way to deal with it?
Or is there a better way?
Maybe a more nuanced approach.
Yeah, because technology isn't always the solution.
Not always, no.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think the most important thing is to keep talking about this stuff. To educate ourselves about all the tools and resources out there.
Yeah.
And to make informed decisions that feel right for us.
That align with our values.
Exactly.
And to remember that technology is just a tool.
It is.
It's up to us to use it responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely.
Because we're all shaping the future of digital parenting together.
We are.
We're really at a crossroads here, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. Technology is amazing, right?
It is.
But it also forces us to make some tough choices.
It does.
I think that's the challenge with TheWiSpy, you know?
What do you mean?
It makes it seem like there's a simple answer to a really complicated problem.
Yeah.
Parents are worried about their kids online, and WiSpy says, hey, We can take care of that. We can track everything.
Right. Peace of mind.
Exactly.
But like we've been talking about, that peace of mind comes with a price tag.
It does. There's the privacy stuff, the ethical questions.
Yeah.
And even if we ignore all that, does it even work?
Right. Good point.
Some experts say that constantly watching your kids might actually backfire.
Really?
Yeah, it could stop them from learning how to be safe online by themselves.
Interesting.
It's like that saying, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for life.
I like that.
Right. Instead of controlling everything they do,
yeah,
maybe we should be teaching them how to make good choices.
Right, like online safety, critical thinking.
Exactly.
All that good stuff.
And most importantly, maybe we should be talking to them.
Yeah.
About the real risks and responsibilities of being online.
You know what's interesting? As we were looking into all this,
Yeah.
I realized there's not much talk about alternatives.
To these apps?
Yeah, like we mentioned a few. But what about things that don't involve technology at all?
That's a great point. Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest ones.
Like what?
Like having dinner together as a family.
Yeah.
And actually talking about what's going on in your kids' lives.
Both online and offline.
Exactly. Or setting some clear rules about screen time.
Yeah, boundaries.
And, maybe the most important thing is being a good example ourselves.
Oh, that's huge.
Kids learn by watching us.
They do.
If we're always on our phones, what message are we sending them?
It's like, do as I say, not as I do, right?
Exactly. And that never works.
Especially with technology.
Yup. We have to practice what we preach.
So for all the parents listening out there, feeling a little overwhelmed.
That's a lot.
What's the first step?
Talk to your kids.
Okay.
Have a real conversation. Ask them about their online lives. What are they worried about? What are they seeing online?
Listen to them.
Exactly. And then figure out a plan together.
That works for your family?
A plan that balances safety and freedom, protection and trust.
I love that.
Because in the end, it's not about controlling our kids.
Right.
It's about giving them the tools they need to make good choices.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into TheWiSpy.
It's been great.
We hope this episode has given you something to think about and maybe even start some important conversations at home.
Remember, technology is always changing.
It is.
So we got to stay informed and keep talking about these things.
Absolutely. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.